Hello, and thanks for checking out my first video of the Enraged Unicorn. The first thing I want to say, given that this is my first video, is that I will not be pulling a logic, excuse me, armored skeptic clone thing for very long. I'm waiting for a new camera, but I think that my perspective and my point of view is more important than the camera. So I'd like to use still images temporarily and still show my support for the movement on the right. And that brings me to my inherent bias. I don't think it's fair for anyone to say that they are unbiased in their way of doing anything. I am a commentator. I am commentating on things from a right-wing perspective, given a very eclectic right-winger. But I am a right-winger nonetheless. Now, to get into the day, I was inundated with a bunch of tweets from someone who thinks it's okay to punch Nazis. It is, of course, not. Now this person was saying that the Nazis don't have free speech because they're encouraging violence, and threw the Brandenburg case at me. Which, if you don't know what that is, it's a case called Brandenburg v. Ohio, and Brandenburg wanted a Cincinnati TV station to cover his KKK rally in 1964. The crew filmed some of the rally and caught your average KKK activity of the 60s, burning crosses, that whole thing. Of course, they talked about the possibility of, quote, revengeance against niggers, Jews, and all who support them. Brandenburg was later charged with advocating violence under Ohio's criminal syndicalism statute. He was then convicted and sentenced to 1 to 10 years in prison and a $1,000 fine. The Supreme Court reversed Brandenburg's conviction, holding that the government cannot constitutionally punish abstract advocacy of force or law violation. Again, government cannot constitutionally punish abstract advocacy of force or law violation. So, what does that mean? The KKK, anybody else, anybody who has a horrible, offensive point of view is fine so long as they're not saying, hey, go punch that specific person. Thanks to Brandenburg v. Ohio, which this guy threw at me as proof that Nazis don't have free speech, which actually totally just gives free speech to pretty much everyone. There was also the Smith v. Collin, aka the Skokie affair, in which the Illinois Supreme Court ruled that swastikas are legal free speech as they do not constitute, quote, fighting words. You can be a Nazi, you can be whatever you want, and you can, I mean, I can draw a swastika on the street and not mean anything by it, and it's still well within my legal right to do so. Would I do it? No. We have sat here and figured out through law, and the Supreme Court that we have free speech. So, now the next point of this whole thing is that Nazis don't even freaking exist. They don't. Nazis in modern day, like, sure, there are some neo-Nazis, but to be clear, like, the largest neo-Nazi movement in America is the National Socialist movement. Socialist. Just saying. It's just socialist. National Socialist Movement. They are about 400 members strong, sprinkled through about 32 states. And that's information I have as of February 2017. You're looking at 400 actual neo-Nazis. Like 400? That's, whatever. And then the former largest was the National States Rights Party, which began logically in 1958 and continued to live a long and solemn life until 1987, when it died as just a husk and former shell of itself. So, there are no Nazis. There is no Nazi party, and to be a Nazi, you must be a member of the Nazi Party. There is no Nazi Party, there is only the National Socialist Movement. And the last time I checked, the only people who are socialists are on the left. So I don't understand how, through all of this, given that the Brandenburg case gives us the right to say whatever the fuck we want, the Smith vs. Collin case gives us the right to use swastikas if we want, and the fact that there is no Nazi party, but there is a National Socialist movement, should suggest to you that, maybe the left is in the wrong here, and you can't just punch anyone you think is a Nazi. Because I mean, leave this in the comments below for me. What do you think a Nazi is? Outside of that, I, on Twitter, said that in recording this, I would be explaining Flynn's resignation in retard Game of Thrones speech. So, Season 1 Game of Thrones spoilers ahead. I'm sure all of you have seen at least one episode of Game of Thrones. Maybe you were just looking to see if there was going to be any nudity in that episode so you could get triggered, but in any case, you've probably seen it. So in Season 1, it is brought to our attention that there is the king, there is the hand of the king, and then there is the King's Council. So let's transfer that into American politics. There is the president, which is the king, the vice president, which is the hand of the king, and then you have all the cabinet members, which is your council, King's Council. Trump's king, Pence is hand of the king, and then we've got our council. Flynn was on the council. Flynn went and pulled a Viserys. Do you know who Viserys is? If you don't, he's the bald guy that always wears a robe. People make jokes about him not having a dick because he doesn't have a dick. He pulls a spider, a Viserys, and goes and has a little walk in the rose gardens with somebody else, and Trump finds out about it, and he decides that he can no longer trust Flynn to give him the most professional and quality advice on legal counsel, and asked for his resignation. It's pretty much as simple as that. Trump went, no, I don't trust that. Quit or I'll fire you. And that's exactly how it should be handled. I mean, in Game of Thrones, they would be cutting people's heads off. In America, we just go, I can't trust you anymore, please leave, goodbye. Trump addressed that as quickly as possible. Now, of course, things change a lot, and a lot of people were hitting spicy with a lot of the same flippin' question, and I wanna just reverberate what he said, what Spicer said. This was a matter of trust. Anything that he talked about with sanctions, it was within his legal purview to discuss. So there's no legal issue. It was a matter of trust between Trump and Flynn. There was no more trust between Trump and Flynn, and so Flynn was gone. It's really as simple as that. Alright, so we've talked a little bit about Nazis, a little bit about free speech, and a little about Game of Thrones, and how Flynn just isn't on the council anymore. Poor guy. So thank you so much for tuning into my very first video. I can't wait to be bringing you guys more content, better content as time goes on. This video and other videos may not be perfect, but I'm going to continue to strive to give you better and better content every single video I make. Now, I'm hoping to be doing weekly recaps, a lot like many others have to do every week because I simply can't cover the news every single day. Outside of that, I'm just, you know, I know. So I hope you really enjoyed this. If you want at all to engage with me on social media, I am on Snapchat Instagram and Twitter at enraged_unicorn. I'm going to be working on getting a Gab account, a Minds account. So, if you liked this, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, or don't. I'm not your mom. I don't fucking care. But it does really help me out to give me a thumbs up if you like this, so I know to keep making content like it. Other than that, I mean, you're a grown-ass adult. You can make your own decisions. Have a good day, or night, or what the fuck ever. Oh god, I'm really bad at ending videos. I don't know. Guess I'll just hit the bolt. Why are you still here? We're done.